Hey there, Psychonauts. Today I wanted to share with you my psychedelic book collection. These are just some of the books that I've read on my journey as a psychonaut, and they're all the books that I have that have some sort of psychedelic connection, at least in my opinion. And today I'm going to share them with you. I'll probably just say a thing or two about each of them. And these books are scattered all across my house. And so I'm going to share them with you based on location. And we're going to be starting with the books that are closest to me, the ones that are currently on my nightstand for whatever reason. So yeah, feel free to tell me if you've read any of these and leave your own recommendations because I'm always looking for new psychedelic books to read. Anyway, let's get started. The one I wanted to show you first, this is one of the books on my nightstand, Alien Information Theory by Andrew Gallimore. This is probably one of my top recommendations for psychonauts if you're really interested, especially if you're interested in DMT and the idea of DMT as technology. This is like a really good, I think he describes it as sort of like a textbook from the future. So it's not necessarily meant to be taken at face value, but I do think it provides like a really good explanation of how DMT as technology could operate. So basically there's like a code running underlying all of reality, and there's these higher dimensions that DMT very literally gates access to. It's really interesting. I would definitely recommend it. I don't really want to say much more because I'm afraid I'll misrepresent the ideas. They're so good. I don't want to misrepresent it. Definitely check this one out. Okay, so here's another one. Timothy Leary, High Priest, okay? Now, I don't even remember buying this book, and it's kind of a funny story because I think it was a month or two ago. I was looking at it on Amazon, thinking about buying it, and then I saw that I had already bought it. And so, sure enough, I looked into my closet and I found it, and I don't know, just a strange story. I know the likely explanation is that I just forgot that I bought it, and I know that's what happened. But part of me feels like it was just manifested out of the void. I haven't read this whole thing, but it's just basically a compilation of trip reports, more or less, and it's a Timothy Leary book. I kind of have a special place in my heart for Timothy Leary books. I find a lot of value in them, and I think they're really good overviews and descriptions and perspectives on the psychedelic experience. There's going to be some more Timothy Leary books, but this is a good one. Okay, so let's get into something really interesting. This is Crawl Space. It's a really cool, like graphic novel. Basically, it's inspired by DMT. It's pretty obvious that it is. It's really beautiful, and I don't even know if you can find it anymore because I was looking for it and I couldn't find it. But it's called Crawl Space. Like this is like one of the opening scenes. And we see this like cool animated, I feel like this is animated. This just describes the psychedelic experience more than any words ever could. And he says, I forgot I was me. Haven't we all forgot that we were ourselves? Anyway, okay, let's go on to the next one. This is actually not a psychedelic book, so I won't say much about it, but it's Physics and Philosophy by Werner Heisenberg. It's really good. I'm really interested in the combination of physics and philosophy, and I find these topics to be psychedelic because in these psychedelic experiences, I feel like I'm like exploring the very boundaries and fundamental nature of reality itself. So having these sort of perspectives of physics and philosophy, this book really talks a lot about like, what are we actually talking about when we're describing these concepts in physics? And it really gets to the root of like, what could actually be going on at the heart of reality? Anyway, I'm very interested in reality, if you haven't noticed. Another book that's not distinctly psychedelic is Erwin Schrödinger's What is Life? This is another philosophical book by a physicist. This one's even more philosophical than the other one. The other one is a bit more into the physics, but this is like a really good reflection on the question of what is life. And there's many different topics that this book covers, and I'd really recommend it. Anyway, we're just gonna move on. What is Life by Erwin Schrödinger. So let's share some spiritual books. I actually have The Way of Zen by Alan Watts and the Bhagavad Gita, the Gita, Hindu text. So we have Buddhism and Hinduism. Just some really good, I think that there's a lot of value in these books. I've had some value in it. They're actually really old copies, and I got them from my grandmother's old library that used to belong to my great-grandfather, who I never met. And so it was kind of interesting. There's actually notes in this book, and it has like a personal significance because I'm pretty sure that they're the notes of my great-grandfather. So it's really interesting. It's a really like interesting connection there. But I found a lot of value in these books. Next one. This is I Am a Strange Loop. So I got this book because I was really trying to uncover the concept of I-ness. I'm really interested in like, what is it to be an I? What does it even mean? Why do we experience this? And this was an interesting perspective on I-ness. I don't necessarily know if I agree with the conclusions of this book, but it is interesting, and I think it offers, what I like the most about this book is it offered a really good explanation of Gödel's incompleteness theorem, probably the best explanation that I've ever seen in a book, and I think that's what I can thank my own understanding of those theorems for, if you're interested. It's an interesting book on the concept of I-ness. Okay, let's get back to some more explicitly psychedelic stuff, because this is another Timothy Leary book, and this is probably my favorite Timothy Leary book. It's The Politics of Ecstasy, and man, it's been a while since I've read this one, but I found so much value in it. There's a lot of good information here on the psychedelic experience. Speaking of the psychedelic experience, that is all of the books on my nightstand, and we can move on. Let's move on to the books that I have sitting on a dresser, okay? I'm gonna bring them up now. So these are these books, and you know what? I just mentioned it, so let's start with The Psychedelic Experience, a manual based on the Tibetan Book of the Dead. This one's a mixed bag. I really actually like this. I thought this book, after I had some of my first psychedelic experiences, I ended up reading some of this book, and I just found it so like exact to like what I had experienced. And I do think that this is a really good starter guide. I found it really useful. Yeah, it's really useful, but I don't know what else to say about it. Good guide. Oh wait, we do have Alice in Wonderland just sitting on the dresser. Why not? It's a classic. I think it's psychedelic. It's very psychedelic. You guys know this one. Okay, this is actually my only Terence McKenna book, and I didn't even read the whole thing. You know, I should make a goal for myself to read all of the books that I haven't officially finished, and this is one of them. I've wanted to read other Terence McKenna books, but yeah, so I can't really say much of this. Maybe I should read these books and actually do some proper book reviews. But yeah, Terence McKenna books. What's your favorite Terence McKenna book? I want to know. Which one should I buy? I really want another one. And I think that there might be one out there that I'd enjoy even more. Not that I didn't enjoy this, but for some reason, something made me not finish it for some reason. I'm just trying to be honest. This is just the first thing that comes to my mind when I see these books. Be Here Now. Beautiful. I mean, I consider this my Bible. This is it. There's so much advice and guidance, and this is just really a good book to just sit with. You can open it up to any page and find value in it. It's beautiful. If you don't own this book, I would recommend it. Out of all of them, this is the best one. This is it. This has everything you need. Has everything you need. Okay, so those were the books on my dresser. Now we're gonna go to a strange spot, and I'm gonna show you the books that have been sitting somewhere in my kitchen. Who knows why? Okay, so we first have some Aldous Huxley books. Good old Doors of Perception, a very good psychedelic classic, probably like the OG trip report. He describes a mescaline experience, actually, which have no personal experience with. I should just read something. Oh, we should just read that quote. If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite. Beautiful book. Kind of one of the psychedelic classics. Maybe a little bit lesser known, but just as important. The Perennial Philosophy. And this is another one. I don't think I've thoroughly read through all of this. But this is a really good, kind of an account of like all religious faiths and texts and different philosophies. It's kind of everything. And like what all these religions, what they converge to. And that's the Perennial Philosophy. I'd recommend it. I should recommend it to myself and read it cover to cover. I think I'd find a lot of value in it. Oh, this is sitting in my kitchen. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Not necessarily psychedelic related, but it's psychedelic in my mind. I've actually kind of had this weird, I've developed this weird connection with the number 42 because of this book. So, you know, it brings me to this idea that life is a narrative, life is a story. Like the fundamental meaning of life, like the fundamental nature of reality. It's a story, and it's really strange. And that's the connection I make with this book. Don't ask why. Okay, here's another one. Realms of the Human Unconscious. I wanted to buy a book by Stanislav Grof. I feel like I said that weird. Okay. I wanted to buy one of his books, and I bought this one, and I think there's a lot of value in this one. But I do wonder if I'd prefer another book of his even more. I've wanted to get into his ideas. It's very psychological, very like into the psyche. But it's a good book. Let's do more LSD. I have LSD, My Problem Child, the book by, good old Albert Hoffman. You know, we owe a lot to Albert Hoffman. I mean, seriously, I owe my life to him. Yeah, it's a really good book. There's a lot of, it details kind of how the discovery of LSD came about. There's a lot of like interesting tidbits of information in here that I didn't find from other sources. So if you're interested in like how LSD came about and like understanding LSD from the creator's perspective himself, it's a very interesting read. I'd recommend this one. I think I bought it around a bicycle day one time, and I sort of read it for bicycle day, so I think it's good for that. It does have a description of the bicycle day trip in there as well. Great book. Let's see. Here we go. DMT Dialogues. I don't think I read all this one either, but it's a collection of talks on DMT, I believe. So there's a lot of different stuff in here. I don't think I read it all because a lot of it, I had actually heard of some of this stuff from other sources. I was gifted this book, but I do think it's really good. I could probably benefit from reading more of it, especially because I'm trying to take a break, actually. I'm trying to take a break, and I'm trying to just gain more knowledge, gain more information, center myself, take a cautious halt. Cautious halt halfway brings good fortune. Anyway, last one that was in my kitchen, I don't know why I included this, but Brian Greene, The Fabric of the Cosmos. Space, Time, and the Texture of Reality. I probably bought it because of that title, Space, Time, and the Texture of Reality. One thing I did make the psychedelic connection, I think it has really good descriptions of like relativity, some quantum mechanics. I think it had a really easy to follow description of the different experiments, like the double slit experiment, just a really good overview of some of these basic ideas in quantum mechanics. But there was this cool chapter. It said, "Quanta in the sky with diamonds. There's your psychedelic connection. We should make a qualia in the sky with diamonds. That would be beautiful." Anyway, okay, now we're gonna go to the books in my closet. And surprisingly, I don't have that many in there. They're mostly scattered other places in my house. So I have 3 books left. let's start with this. It's my only book that I own from Jung, and it's a book on synchronicity. This is probably the book to read on synchronicity. I mean, it's if you're interested in the concept, that's what I would recommend reading. And this really goes into a lot of detail describing and defining the actual concept of synchronicity. So just meaningful coincidences. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with the concept of synchronicities, and I mean, I think there's really genuinely something to it. So this is synchronicity, an acausal connecting principle. Yeah. Have you had any synchronicities lately? You can tell me. You can tell me. Anyway, let's do this one. Your brain is God. This is kind of silly, but I actually like this one. It's kind of like an inspirational book. I think it's a good book to read. As long as you know your ground, you know what you're doing. It's kind of a good book to like lead you into your highest vision of yourself. It kind of gives you that power in yourself reading it. It gives that sort of inspirational feeling to it. I actually think, if I'm not mistaken, I think this book was one of that final sparks of inspiration that led to the creation of my YouTube channel. There was obviously a lot of forces going on that made me create this channel, but I think I bought this book slightly before I started the channel. Anyway, it's very short, but it's an okay read. If you like Timothy Leary, just be skeptical. It's okay. I don't know why I feel like I have to put a disclaimer out there for Timothy Leary books, but I get that he's a bit out there. But I still think that there's a lot of value in what he has to say. Okay. This is going to be the last one. We're going to end with Alan Watts, the book. I haven't read this one in a while, but it's Alan Watts. It's probably the book for, if you're going to buy an Alan Watts book, you should probably buy the book. What is it about? I don't remember, actually. It's just about... God also likes to play hide and seek. Yes, we know this. It's Alan Watts. It is what you think it is. It's the book. Okay, that's it. That's all of my psychedelic books. And yeah, it took long enough just to say the smallest thing about each of them. I don't know. I wish I could go into more detail. I could even do book reviews on some of these books, but I'm not sure. I just wanted to show you. I just wanted to do a really low stakes video because I've put a lot of pressure on myself recently to make videos, and I don't know, I just wanted to do a little show and tell with you, and I just want to talk. I just want to hear what you have to say. Okay. I'm a mess. Yeah. So those are all my psychedelic books that I own. There's more that I've read that I don't own, and you know, I really should get I should get a bookshelf. I just don't know where to put it. Priorities, man. I don't know. We'll get there one day. One day I'll have things put together, but now I have to put the books back where they were. They have to go back where they were. I'm gonna do that. Okay. Don't mind me. Don't listen to me. Let me know what you think. Have you read any of these books? Tell me if you read them. Which ones are your favorite? What are your favorite psychedelic books? And yeah, I just want to know everything. I can't stop talking. It's just, I can't do it. So I'm gonna have to force myself. We're gonna bring it in. We're gonna end the video, and yeah, you all will see me in the next video.